So I've just popped into the garden and I'm just going to get a picture of it here. So it's looking really, really pretty. So working on the peasant stock, I'm going to put a link up here which will show you how to prepare your fabric and how to cut your fabric. So to start us off, I've just pinned the two largest pieces together, and I've pinned them so that the right sides are on the top and bottom. Okay, so with this, when we're doing our stitching on our French seam, we just need to have 1/8 of an inch on this side. Now you can do two things. You can sew it at 1/4 of an inch, or you can sew it at 3/8 of an inch and then cut it back, or if you think that you'll be able to, you can just sew it at that 1/8 of an inch. And if you think you can keep that straight and sew it at the 1/8 of an inch, we can do that. So I'm going to sew this one at the 1/8 of an inch. And I'm going to do a back stitch, and then we're going to go all the way along, and I'm going to do that one at the 1/8 of an inch, and then I will show you with the other one how we do it at 1/4 of an inch. There we go. I'm going to just do a back stitch. There we go. So that's that one. So we're going to put this one on at 1/4 of an inch, and I don't know if you can see on mine there's a little mark where there is 1/4 of an inch. So I'm going to remove that pin. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to do some back stitches, and then I'm going to come all the way across, keeping that lined up with the mark on my foot. Do a back stitch and then come back off. Okay, so here it is. So we've got it here, and we're going to just snip off the end like that, which we've got there, and then we're going to get our scissors, and hopefully you'll be able to see this fine, and we're going to come along and we're going to trim it back so all we have on that side is 1/8 of an inch. I think it's 1/2 centimetre. So that's that one. This one we don't need to where is it? This one we don't need to cut back because I only sewed that one at 1/8 of an inch. Okay, so that's like that. So I'm just going to take them to the iron now. I'm going to fold them back like this, and we're going to iron right the way across here to make sure that lays nice and flat. Okay, on both pieces. So I've just ironed that, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to place it so it's on where my 1/4 of an inch mark there. Alright, and I'm going to come in at 1/4 of an inch and stitch that right the way down. Okay, back stitch. And then all the way across. And then we're going to go with back stitch again. So come across, and then we'll just bring that piece in. Do a back stitch, and then we'll go all the way across, keeping that on. There we go, and then do the back stitch. Now we are going to go to the ironing board, and I'm going to iron a piece of my hem onto the bottom of the largest piece. All I did was I took my largest piece, which is my bottom of my skirt, and I've just taken my piece of cardboard and I folded, with using the iron, it in at 1/4 of an inch. Hopefully you can see that. There you go. And then I folded it in again at 1/2 an inch. Okay, so you've got two folds like that, and I did that all the way along. So I've got that, and I'm just going to do a French seam on the other sides of my skirt, on all of the sides this time. Okay, so I'm going to do it on this side, and where I folded it down there, I'm just going to straighten it up just for now, just whilst I'm putting it on. And I'm going to do a French seam here, but I'm just going to do mine at 1/8 of an inch. If you're happy with doing yours at 1/8 of an inch, then do that. If not, carry on and do it the way we've done before. Okay, so let's just run across, back stitch. Before I started this project, I cleaned out my sewing machine, made sure there was no fluff in it. So you might like to do that if you are, before you start any new projects. I always try and do that. So that was my bottom one. This is going to be my middle one. So I'm just going to come on and do exactly the same here. And then I'll do the smallest one. My mind is still dopey. I've had COVID about 2 weeks ago, coming up for 3 weeks now, and I'm still a bit dopey. I'm going to come in again at 1/4 of an inch there, between 1/4 and 1/8, and we're going to come on and do a back stitch, and it's important that you do a back stitch on this piece. And come all the way down. Do a back stitch here. Okay. So this is the middle piece, I think. There we go. We're just coming it in there like that. Back stitch. My machine just makes that noise, so don't take any notice of it. There we go. I'm going to do a back stitch again. There we are. Okay, that's that one. Take this back stitch. And then all the way down. Back stitch to finish it off. So now we are going to come in and we are going to put in our hem. I'll come in, I'll do a back stitch, and then I will go slowly all the way around. You only need a couple of stitches for a back stitch, you don't need loads. Just take your time, let's go all the way around, nice and close to that edge. Back as well. So that's the whole of my hem, and I'm just going to finish it with a back stitch. There we go, okay, and then I'll lift that off. So that's the hem of my skirt finished. So the next thing we are going to do is we are going to gather all of our stitch, and then I'm just going to move my needle, and you saw that I'm going to move it right over to this side of my foot, okay, and we're going to go around and gather this fabric in a big stitch. And can you see it's doing a great big stitch there? I will show you in a minute what it looks like. Go through a bit more. First one, I'm going to finish that there, okay, on that French seam. I'm going to pull that out. I'm going to leave ourselves a nice long thread so we can gather it. And then we're going to take the next one, and we're going to place this on exactly the same position like that, but this time we're going to move our needle, and this time we're going to move our needle over to this side, okay, and that's as far as mine goes. There we go. And then we're going to come back around and we're going to go all the way around, exactly the same as we've just done, okay. It's just my machine. Don't put a back stitch in, okay, when you're doing a gathering stitch. I'm just going to stop there and leave a nice long end. There you go, okay. So here we have our three pieces, our largest piece, our medium, middle piece, and this is the small piece which comes at the top. So all I'm doing is taking two of the threads, the two which are on this side here. Can you see that one and that one there at the top? And I'm just pulling them very gently along, and I'm just going to get this to the size I want, and then I'll move the gathers around. Just keep doing it until you get it to the right size. Take your threads like that, put a pin in there like this, and then take all the threads which you've got. I'm going to wrap it around this pin. Alright, so I'm going to go round and round and round and round. And that just won't come out for a minute whilst you're getting this even. So you want an even ruffle all the way around. So you don't want, okay, so that's about right. That's got evenish gathers going around it. Okay, so put that onto one side. Take the next one. So this one has to fit onto the bottom of that one. Okay, so the bottom of that one will be the size you cut your first one. So my first one was 26 inches. So my bottom piece here, this one has to be 26 inches. So that would be 13 inches on that side and 13 inches on this side. So if you measured it at 13, do that using my board, just get an extra inch on it. Where's an inch? There we go. So that there would be 12, and that's 13 there. So I have to pull it in until it marries up with that. What's 13? Yeah, that line there. Okay, just winding that around. There we go. And now I'm going to go around. I'm going to even out these just the same as we did before. The third one you want to do. Okay, so I'm just going to put that there. That's the end where all my ends are. Grab hold of my two ends on this side, and we're going to pull this in. So put our pin in again. Let's move that board back into position. And we'll just put our pins in again on that French seam and tie that. So this is my tiniest memory card. I've got three. I've got 3 batteries as well. Both the batteries, one of the batteries and one of the memory cards I put somewhere really safe today, and it's the biggest memory card, so I put that very safe with the other battery. And I've got loads, my room is full a minute at the moment with bags, because I've got all the toys for the fair, which they're having at my daughter's, my grandson's school. So all the toys are in here at the moment and being sorted out to go into there, so there's not much room in here. I'm not doing it there, but I just got it in here at the moment, so there's not much room, and I carefully, very carefully put down the memory card and the other battery. So they're in this room somewhere. They're definitely not in any of the bags, because I made sure I carefully put them down. And how can you lose things? And you know, it's just a room, it's all in the room, but so I'm just gathering it up now so that we've got an even gather all the way around. Okay, so there we go, it's nice and evenly gathered all the way around. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take this piece of our skirt, which is the next size up. Check that you've got the next size and not the other one. Okay, so we're going to take that size of it and we're going to pin these two pieces together, but we want to pin them so that they're going like that. So we're going to pin this piece, and I'm going to try and marry up one of the seams to this piece, okay, and it should fit exactly like that. You should be able to put it in together like that and go all the way around and pin the whole thing. So let's do that nicely and finished off like that, and finish that last piece in there, and you're done with that piece, and then we will come and do the next piece. Okay, if you come round and you think, oh, that's a bit too floppy there, let's gone right down, just add a few more pins once you've got around, just to make sure that it is sort of sitting nicely, because you need to be able to sit and stitch this all nicely together. Okay, so that's your middle piece put in. Now you're going to pin this middle piece to the top piece. Okay, so I've got my top piece here. I'm going to find where that French seam is. It's right here. Take that piece and we're going to put this one in just the same as we just did the last one. So we're just going to come all the way around again, pinning it all the way. And what I did on the first one is I just went around and pinned it about every couple of inches 2 inches or so, and then I came in again and then popped more pins in because I just felt it looked a bit like it might flop out on the machine. If you are happy just to do that on yours and you're happy with it just sitting like that with a 2-inch sort of gap in between, then carry on and do that. If you feel that you want to have a little bit more, you're a bit worried that it might sort of fall out and come out of it a bit, then put more pins in. You know, it's entirely up to you what you do. Okay, so I'm ready. So I'm going to do this row first, the bottom row. Just there, I'm going to pop my foot on, and I'm going to do this on a 3/8 of an inch, which is just the edge of my foot there. This is a 3/8 of an inch foot, which I've got here. Okay. We're just going to come around, all the way around. We want to make sure, if you find that you've got a bit which isn't sitting right on so that they're both sat on the edge, just move it, okay? So we're going to go on. And we'll do a back stitch. And I'm going to come all the way around. And every so often, just check that this is laying nice and flat underneath. So there we go, and whilst we're here now, we are just going to come across and we're going to do a zigzag. So I'm going to change my stitch to the one which looks like a bit of like a lightning bolt. I'm going to come across and we're just going to move my fabric to the outside where my needle will go, and then I'm going to come all the way around. There you go. Okay, so that's that one with the zigzag on it. Come in, cut your threads. So we're going to come in here on your next row down, put it down so it's on that very edge there, and then we're going to come in again. We're going to change our stitch to a stripe stitch, back to your ordinary stitch, and we're just going to come in and do a stripe stitch, do a back stitch, and then around you go. So once we finish putting these stitches in, you will need to go over and take out that bottom row of tapping stitches. There, gathering stitches. Just that one. You won't need to take the other pieces out. And then come along and catch that, and that's all of those pieces done. All right. So there we go. Whilst we're here now, we are just going to come across and we're going to do a zigzag, and then I'm going to come all the way around. And then come along and catch that, and that's all of those pieces done. Right, I'm going to go back to the table now, and we are going to put on our waistband. So I've just prepared my piece of interface, and I've just literally ironed it on to the piece of fabric, and then I folded my fabric in half just like that, and the interfacing just goes on that front bit. You don't have to put it on the rest of it. Okay, so we're just doing that, and then I'm just going to come along here. I just gave myself a little bit of extra fabric there to play with. Just going to come along and cut that edge off. We never use those edges. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to come along and we're going to take these two ends. We don't need a French seam on this. This is just going to be an ordinary seam running across there. Grab some pins. Oh, right beside me. Just grab some pins here and run them in. There we go, 1, 2, like that, and we're just going to stitch straight across. So straight across, okay, there, back stitch on either end. So we're just going to come in on our 3/8 of an inch all the way down. And all the way along. Okay, lift that one. Okay, so here we have our front of our skirt. This will be our front. Okay, so that is where my interfacing ends there. Okay, so I am now going to come in and do 2 rows of gathering stitches right across here. But what I want to do, where that interfacing is here, okay, that's the end of it. I want to leave an inch, so I've got enough room to get my elastic in, okay? And then I'm going to come along here, and I'm going to come to where my other piece of interfacing is, and that is right by there. So I'm going to put a pin just there, to remind me to stop when I get to it. Okay, so I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to change my stitch to my gathering stitch, so which is just my biggest stitch on my machine. Okay, and then I've got my needle and I'm going to have my needle as far over this side as I can get it. All right, so just going to come in and go all the way around. Don't put a back stitch in when you're doing a gathering stitch. Okay, I'll stop there, pull it out and give myself a nice long thread. Okay, and do exactly the same again. Go to where I actually started, make sure those ends are out of the way, which they are. And then I'm going to come in, I'm going to place it right down on that edge again. Make sure that these two come in nice and far back like that. I'm just going to place it right on that very edge there where we were before, and I'm going to change my needle position over to there. Okay, and I've still got it on my longest stitch. Okay, come in just over that pin, and then I'll just take that one out and I'm going to cut a nice long end again. There we go. So now we're going to take our skirt and we're going to gather this piece to the same size as the back of our skirt. So we're going to pin it on first. So let's go to the table. So here you can see I filmed it all, and the camera, the card was full, so I've got my other waistband for my other skirt. So I've got my other waistband for my other skirt, and I'm just going to put this on the same way as we would do that. So I'm just going to turn it like that, and I'm going to pin this so that you've got your stripe piece is going in place. So you've got that all the way around, just going into where that would be, and that's where that ends. It's just the same place as that one. So you've got that, and we're going to just pin this all the way along. Okay. So you would just do this without that other skirt, that other piece being in there. Obviously, like that. Right, so that's in. That's your front piece there. Then you're going to take this piece where your gathering is, and you're going to grab hold of both pieces of thread, here and here, like that. And then you're just going to come in and you're going to gather this all the way along. Okay. Keep going like that until you've got it all gathered up so it's the same size as this piece of skirt. So that's your bit where you're going to have your hole. We're not going to sew over that bit where the hole is. We're going to just sew over this piece on the back. Okay, so that's going to go along there, like that, coming along. So you've only got to gather this little short piece here. So let's grab this piece. Okay, and pull that one in as well. Remember, you're leaving that 1 inch there for the elastic to go in. Okay, and then you're going to pin the whole of this onto here. Okay, I can carry on with that. So now all you need to do now is start here before that. So you're going to put a cross there to remind you to stop. Okay, so you've got your cross. You're going to start on this pin here. You're going to come all the way around, stitch all the way around, just an ordinary stitch, do a back stitch there, come in, start there, do a back stitch, go all the way around like that, ordinary stitch, and stop when you get to the end of that interfacing here. Okay, and then you can take these pins out and you can stitch, do a back stitch to finish on that interface, and take these pins out, stitch, and then move along, move your machine over and stitch from there, and stitch here and go all the way, do a back stitch and go all the way around your gathering. Now with your gathering, you're going to have to be careful. You need to make sure that this piece of the skirt is going down and this piece of the waistband is down. You don't want any of that riding up, so I would suggest putting it on your machine like that so that you can see this piece. All right, and then go straight across the top here just an ordinary stitch all the way across, keeping this pole nice and flat that side. Keep checking that there's nothing tucked up inside on that side, and then just come around here like that, and you'll finish where your hole is here. Okay, back here. You don't want to go all the way to the interface, and you're going to stop when you get to that crossed pins, okay, and then you're going to do a back stitch there. Okay, hopefully that's okay. Go ahead and do that, and then I will show you, I will put the next bit of video on to that so you can see it. So I'm just going to come in where I've got that cross of pins, and I'm just going to go just behind that, and again we're going to do it on that 3/8 of an inch. Okay, just going to take that one out. Just going to come along slowly, just on our normal stitch. You want to make sure that your ruffle side is on the top, okay, if you can. This one's going to be all 3 rows of ruffles. So we're just coming on now to where that piece is, and I want to leave this bit open here. So I'm just going to do a back stitch here, and then come along. Lift my needle, and I'm going to move along, if I can, just pull that along a bit, to here, so that I'm just on this piece here where we're starting. Oh, I've got a pin stuck in there. That's it. Right, so just going to come along to here where the interfacing is starting, and I'm going to do a back stitch, and then another back stitch. Okay, and I'm going to come all the way across that front piece. There we go. And then I'm going to do a back stitch. And I'm going to come over again. There we go, and I'm going to lift this pin out now. And we've definitely got our hole in there. So I'm going to come here, I'm just going to put another back stitch in, because I don't think I did it. Okay. I'm just going to move that along to where I started stitching. There, and put that down. So I'm just going to find my hole, get my hole, and you want to make sure you go into that piece, not the, you don't want to go in there. Okay, you want to go in between that piece there. Alright, where you've got your interfacing piece. Okay, so we're going to put it in, and we want to go around the back. We don't want to go around the interfacing piece. So I'm just going to put it in, and I folded it in half like that, just at the very top, and that'll just give you a little bit easier to get that first bit in. Okay, and then just keep pulling it along as you go along, and it should just go in as easy as anything. And this will probably be much easier for you because my hands don't work, as you know. Pretty useless. So I'm just coming around, just going all the way through. Another thing you can do is pin the other end if you've only got a small piece of elastic, because you don't want to be pulling this end and then suddenly that end to shoot inside, because you have to do it all over again then. Coming up to my hole now. It's going in much better now. So I'm going to pull it out, get it laying so it's laying flat. There we go. And then we're going to pop a pin in it, just there. Okay, because we definitely don't want that to come out. Popping a pin, and the end of the elastic is just here. Okay, so what we're going to do now is come over, make sure this piece is laying nice and flat. So it's here under my foot. I'm just going to go in. Let me just put that thread behind. I'm just going to come in. Oh, sorry, make sure you change back to your ordinary stitch. Sorry, I was on a zigzag there. Back stitch, and then come all the way down. I'm just going to take that pin out. And then all the way back up again. go down a little and backside. And that will hold that piece of elastic in nicely. And then you just want to come around here now. I've got those tiniest bit of thread left, probably just enough to do this. That's it. Won't break. That's it. Probably, maybe not. I'm just going to stitch where the hole is. Just there. Okay, so I'm just going to come along there and stitch across where that hole is, where we left that hole. Alright. And then right to the other side. And that's my thread gone. Okay, so there we go. Now, if you've got anything bigger than a 2-year-old size, that used a hose spool, okay? So you will need a hose spool, 2 spools if you're doing anything bigger than a 3-year-old size. I still need to do this piece. I'm going to have to machine across there with my zigzag stitch, and then I will finish this, and I'm going to do it in exactly the same way as I've done the other side, so that that's stitched inside, but I will measure it on the child first. Okay, so do that. I would say measure your waistband first onto your child, because all children are different and you don't want anything too tight on their waist. Okay, and there you go. All right, so that is your little skirt all finished. Very pretty. So here is our sweet little skirt all finished, and it's looking really adorably cute. I really love it. I love the bumblebees on there. They look really sweet. I'm thinking about putting a few bits and pieces on it, which I'm going to show you in a minute. Okay, just some simple things to pretty it up if you wanted to add a few more little bits to it. I've got this, which would go on really prettily on the waistband. You can just put that on the very front of the waistband. That would look adorably cute. I've got these, which are just like diamantes. You could have a string of those going around. That would also look really pretty on there. I've got these bees, which are quite like that, and you can get them by the meter. You could cut them off and stitch them on in different parts, and I think that would look really nice and go with that really well. So this is the Mirabelle skirt, and this was made for my 4-year-old. She's worn it quite a lot, so it's worn really well and it's washed really well. I need to sort of puff these up each time. I made the tassels just out of embroidery silk, so we had the tassels around the bottom, and the same with the little butterflies, so that was alright. And I did the Mirabelle word on there, and as I say, this takes a long time, so if a lot of people ask for it, I will show you how to do that one, but it is, as I say, it does take a lot of time. You need quite a bit of fabric in that, so it does end up costing quite a bit to make it. So that is the Mirabelle skirt, but obviously if you fancy doing a Mirabelle skirt, you can just use that pattern to do it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you would like to subscribe, that would be absolutely fantastic, because I'm trying to get my projects out to more people if I can. The more subscribers I get, the more Facebook likes to promote me, so that would be great. Thanks ever so much for watching. See you again next time. Goodbye.